Now, you would be correct in associating tales of Bigfoot sightings to be more commonplace throughout the Pacific Northwest. But that said, there seems to be variations on the Bigfoot theme in many localized areas throughout the United States and beyond. Mythical and encountered beasts such as the Honey Island swamp monster, a distant cousin of Bigfoot that is said to have adapted to the very unique environment in which it prowls, namely the waterways of Honey Island Swamp in Louisiana. And the list goes on. The Folk Monster, the Skunk Ape, Nobby, the Pope Lick Monster and the Beeman Monster, all bipedal humanoid cryptids that are said to have adapted to and prowl in specific locations far and wide across the continental United States. But today we're focusing on yet another entity that is said to prefer the arid hills of northern Arizona, a region known as the Mogollon Rim. But before we get into that, I'd like to ask, if you haven't already, to please subscribe to the channel. Because if you're looking for tales about the weirder and sometimes more sinister things in life, then this is the place to be. Now, as is customary, I'd like to take a moment just to shout out to some of the channel's subscribers as a way of saying thanks for recent interactions with me via the comment sections of recent uploads. So a big thanks goes out to Rochelle Dixon, Angelique Bentham, Cookie Sus, Ghost and Mr. Underdog 1970. Thanks for all your kind comments, especially with those offering well wishes for my condition. So without further ado, let's check out tonight's tale. One about a seemingly malevolent cryptid that roams the Appalachian region. This is the tale of the Mogollon Monster, here on The Flip Side. Now, the Mogollon Rim is a geological formation approximately 2,500 feet high, and it's found and it runs along the northern confines of the state of Arizona. This dominant feature extends approximately 200 miles or 320 kilometers from its point of origin in northern Yavapai County, and running eastward it ends near the border of the neighboring state of New Mexico. An additional snippet of information is that it forms the southern edge of the Colorado Plateau in Arizona, formed between 5 to 30 million years ago as a result of a series of monumental fractures that stretched and thinned the Earth's crust. It can be considered a very specific geological boundary that divides two very different landscapes. Now, the Mogollon Rim was subsequently named after the Spanish governor of the province of New Mexico, a man by the name of Juan Ignacio Flores Mogollon, who held office between 1712 and 1715. Now, on a more sinister note, it is also home to what many people call the Mogollon Monster. The Mogollon Monster is commonly described as a large bipedal creature standing over 7 feet or 2 meters tall with large red eyes. Its body is said to be covered with long black or reddish-brown hair, with the exclusion of the chest area, the hands, the face and the feet. Reports claim it has a strong and pungent odour, varying between that of dead fish, a skunk with bad body odour, decaying peat moss or the unique musk of a snapping turtle. Eyewitness and anecdotal reports indicate the creature to be nocturnal and omnivorous, meaning that it favours neither meat nor vegetation as its preferred meal, and it is happy to eat both. It is also said to be territorial and sometimes violent. Reports also suggest that it walks with wide inhuman strides, and it leaves footprints behind measuring some 560 millimeters or 22 inches in length. The creature is also said to be an incredible mimic, maybe for hunting purposes, and has mastered a number of bird calls as well as coyote and other wildlife. Its vocalizations are also said to include unusual whistle-like sounds. However, it is one trait of the monster that is said to be the main reason why it is encountered at all, and that is its penchant to explore campsites after dark. Additional character traits of the monster include its habit of building nests out of pine needles, twigs and leaves, and it is also known for hurling stones and rocks from locations that are hidden from view. The monster is said to decapitate deer and other prey items prior to consuming them. And in numerous reports, the monster has been said to emit a blood-curdling scream, described as being similar to a woman in great distress, akin to as a result of the pain of giving birth. Hunters and other outdoors people have also noted that prior to their encounters with the monster, an eerie silence descends over the immediate area. Now, this is a common phenomenon that hunters will attest to, in that other animals, normally prey items, will often fall silent when a predator is on the prowl. Now, sightings of the monster have happened all along the Mogollon Rim, from the town of Prescott all the way north to the neighbouring town of Williams, and then southeast to Alpine, south again to Clifton, before circling all the way northwest back to the town of Prescott. And the earliest known reported sighting was recounted in an editorial in an early edition of the Arizona Republican in 1903. In which a man by the name of I.W. Stevens described an encounter with the creature near the Grand Canyon. Now, recalling the monster, he said whatever it was had long white hair and a matted beard that reached almost to its knees. It wore no clothing, and capping its talon-like fingers were claws that were at least 2 inches long. Upon further observations, he noted a coat of grey hair that nearly covered its body, with here and there spots of dirty skin showing. Now, he also stated that after he observed the creature drinking the blood of 2 cougars, it threatened him with a club, and it screamed the wildest, almost unearthly screech. Now, cryptozoologist Don Davis reported that during the mid-1940s, he was on a Boy Scout trip to nearby Payson, Arizona, when he came upon the creature, and this is his account of that meeting. The creature was huge. Its eyes were deep set and hard to see, but they seemed expressionless in the few times when I did see them. His face seemed pretty much devoid of hair, but there seemed to be long, thick hair along the sides of his face. His chest, shoulders and arms were massive, especially his upper arms, easily upwards of 6 inches in diameter, perhaps much more. Now, I could see he was pretty hairy, but I didn't observe really just how thick his body hair was. The face and head was very square. It had square sides and a squared up chin, almost as square as a box. Marjorie Grimes, a White River, Arizona resident, claimed to have sighted the creature a number of times between 1982 and 2004, and she described the creature as being black, tall and walking with big strides. Now, while many encounters seem to suggest the presence of something malevolent roaming the hills, Professor Emeritus of Biology Stan Lindstedt of Northern Arizona University has another opinion. He dismisses the idea that a large humanoid creature would remain hidden in such a large area of the country and state. I put that in the category of mythology that can certainly make our culture interesting, but it has nothing to do with science. Now, this seems to be an opinion shared by others in the localized scientific community, many of whom attribute creature sightings to either hoaxes or misidentification. Now, as recently as the early 1930s, grizzly bears roamed the forests of Arizona, and in more modern times, other large mammals such as black bear, mountain lions and elk could also account for sightings. The Mogollon Monster has, over time, become the object of Arizona folklore. Now, one such story involves an Arizona pioneer by the name of Sam Spade, who, after building a log cabin on land adjacent to what is now Camp Geronimo, was said to have been attacked by the creature. Later, his son Bill Spade and his soon-to-be wife were tragically killed by the creature on, of all days, their wedding day. A local indigenous suggestion to explain the origins of the Mogollon Monster implicated the being as a tormentive Native American bent on revenge, an Indian chief transforming to scare away his former clan. Another story involved a pioneer who had fallen foul of and who was subsequently attacked by Native Americans. The man managed to escape the ordeal, but not until he'd been cursed by other spirits and ultimately went insane after having had to adapt and survive in the hills of the Mogollon Rim. Now, what are the monster dogs today are said to be the offspring of that man's pairing with other wildlife in the region. Now, local resident Mitchell Waite is fascinated with stories of encounters with this particular cryptid. So much so that to a point he confides himself to be a bona fide Mogollon Monster hunter. Now Waite goes on to explain that the monster got its name after what eyewitnesses recounted as a big hairy beast that raided a Boy Scouts camp in Tonto Creek back in 1947. Because the event happened along what is known as the Mogollon Rim, the name, the Mogollon Monster, was coined by the Scouts, and it was a name that stuck to this day. Now when Mitchell first heard about the creature though, through tales told through campfires, he never really gave it much thought. Old Indian tales and folklore didn't really pull much sway with him. But being an intrepid entrepreneur, he did see an opportunity to monetize this tale. Waite verified as best he could and compiled all eyewitnesses' accounts and stories about the monster that he could find, and he compiled them into a book which he then aptly titled The Mogollon Monster, Arizona's Bigfoot. Now as the book started to sell, it was soon evident to Waite that something could actually be living in the woods and mountains of the area. Stories soon started to filter down to him that were submitted by eyewitnesses to the monster throughout the area. His disbelief was turned into being a full-on believer when, in 2007, Waite himself encountered the monster. Driving along a country road within the Mogollon Rim, Waite caught sight of something out of the corner of his eye. Slowing his vehicle to get a better look, he saw what he recounts as a humanoid creature standing upright on its rear legs to a height that Michael estimated to be around about 8 feet tall. Now stopping his car in disbelief and trying to get an even better look, he slowly started to then put the car in reverse, which eventually spooked whatever this creature was that promptly bounded off with great strides into the surrounding forests. Now with his interest piqued, Waite went on to assemble a team of people with a similar interest in seeing what this entity could be. With the best interests and intention towards the entity, Waite still does, to this day, continue in his searches for the Mogollon Monster. And it is a quest that Waite suggests as having resulted in a further 12 personal encounters with the monster to date. Now, of course, many of these sightings are decades old, and before the power of the internet placed evidence for or against the existence of such creatures in the hands of the average Joe. But even as late as 2014, encounters with the Mogollon Monster were still being reported. A sociology student reported to Cryptozoology News that she was hiking the Canyon Point Trail near Payson, Arizona, when she saw what she described as a troll-looking creature. And this creature was drinking from a pool of water. The student said the creature was human-looking, but it had no hair on it, and in fact its body was covered in bumps. The eyes, she said, were kind of a brown or red in colour. To top off its features, it had a thick, big nose but small, thin lips. And when the creature eventually noted the presence of the girl, it showed no expression on its face, but it did take off running, similar to that of a human, while screaming crazy sounds into the surrounding forests. Now, with no recent sightings, many researchers and Mogollon Monster believers simply put this down to the explosion in popularity of social media and video games, both activities of which diminish the desire of people to venture out into the wilds of Arizona. Now, the Mogollon Monster is described across many accounts as either large or human-sized, having green or red eyes, covered in white, grey, black or even brown hair. Its origins are unknown, although visitors, residents and researchers seem to agree that something slightly inhuman may be wandering among the ponderosa pines of northern Arizona. But what about you folks? Have any of you ever been fortunate or unfortunate enough, depending on your experience, to come face to face with the fabled Mogollon Monster? If you have, please do tell us all about it in the comments below. So there you go folks, the Mogollon Monster here on the flip side. Please, if you haven't already, do subscribe. Hit the little notifications bell down here so that you'll be updated as and when new content is available from yours truly. And please do, if you have an idea of a story that you'd like to see featured here on the flip side, please let us know in the comments below, or you can just start a thread in the community tab of this channel and I'll be sure to see that. In the meantime, folks, please do take care, stay sane, stay safe, and above all, stay healthy, and hopefully we'll catch up sometime soon here on the flip side.